Hey, Heather, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So for those of you who have not met Heather Ann Havenwood yet, she is the best-selling author of several books, including Sexy Boss. She started with internet marketing back in 1999 and has helped create several multi-million-dollar businesses online. Heather, it's great to have you.
Thank you for that. Yes, they call me Chief Sexy Boss. Feel free to just call me Heather, though.
Great. Well, Heather, tell us a little bit about your background, how you got started, with internet marketing back, over a decade ago, almost 2 decades ago.
God, it was a long time ago. Actually, my first internet marketing business plan at college in 1999. Crazy, actually, that happened. It was kind of a forecasting of my life. And then back in 2001, after I ended a corporate career in outside corporate sales, one day I saw this infomercial. I'm not kidding. It's a great story because I saw this infomercial, and at the time I just finished a career. I just got kind of fired actually from this big corporate job, and I didn't know what to do. I was like, what do I do? I don't really want to. I kind of didn't want to go get a job, but I was always taught that. So I saw this infomercial, and it said, it was a late night infomercial, said, hey, do you want to own your own business? And I'm like, yes. Do you want to not work for anybody else? And I'm like, yes. I'm only like 25 years old. Okay. So I'm all excited. So I go down to this seminar. It's a physical seminar and at a hotel. And they basically, pitched you on for $3,000 to go and learn how to run your own business. And I thought, oh, I don't have $3,000, but for a spouse, it was only $1,000. So I kind of nudged this guy next to me. I'm like, can I be your spouse? And like, I became a spouse overnight. And what was funny about that, I went through the seminar, and at the end of it, they actually invited me to come work with the company and travel the country and teach seminars. And that is how I got into the information marketing business, really. And then around 2006, it really spun into digital marketing. So nowadays I call myself an information marketing expert, from seminars to ebooks to information marketing products and everything in between. Like, how do you educate and how to become an expert in a field? So that's kind of my background.
That's awesome. Well, I know you work with a lot of like really high-end clients in the industry, but like really well-known names. But for people who are listening now, who are kind of just starting out, maybe they're just starting to write their first book, or they're just starting to start their first blog. How do you go about building that credibility in the marketplace and starting to attract followers? What are some of your great tips on that?
That's a great question. And, I will say that my book, Sexy Boss, which was kind of my pillar book, if you would call it, because it was my story. It was my story of how I created a successful business. And then one day I was broke and I was bankrupt, and it was like rise out of the ashes and how I overcame my internal game in life and how I came through that. So I will say, when I decided, okay, I'm going to write this book. Because for a while, I didn't want to write the book because I was scared to tell the story, like to tell people, yeah, I was bankrupt and yeah, I failed. It was nerve wracking. So once I decided and had the name of the book, it took me 120 days from inception to completion, 100% up on Amazon, right? And people are like, wow, how'd you do that? I'm like, well, first of all, it was a huge decision. You got to make that decision. I'm doing this, and it does not have to take a year. It does not have to take 6,000 months, people. It can be that fast. And this is how I did in 120 days. I'm going to give you like the record fast of how I did it. For me, I'm about you, but I'm not very good at opening Word doc in a blank page. I freak out at that. Like, I'm like, oh my God, it's blank. But if I get on the phone with you or the Skype with you, Tom, and I say, okay, we're going to talk about this subject, and you're my friend, and I say, hey, just ask me these couple of questions, and then it'll spin my brain and I'll start talking about it, So that's what I did. I had a dear friend of mine here in Austin. He actually lives 10 miles from me, but I didn't have him come to my house. I had him call me on Skype at a set time a day. We scheduled it out. And we did twice a week. And I basically said, okay, I gave him like a little outline. Here, just ask me these questions. And I made him ask them to me. I recorded it, got it transcribed. And then I actually had someone professional edit it, because I knew me editing it would take longer. So I did pay for someone to edit it and make it like prettier, and make more sense and put it together. And so through that process, I was up and going in 120 days. And I had someone in the background already create the artwork, and boom, I had it on Kindle, Amazon, 120 days. Because that's the beauty of Amazon nowadays, right? You can upload that for free. upload the artwork and upload the edited copy, and boom, you got a book out. Now it's up to you to market it. So that's what I would say to people, is that it doesn't have to take 6 months. You know, it doesn't have to be you sitting down and drowning out pages and pages of writing a book. It could be your voice that you transcribe and repurpose.
That's awesome. So how did you promote the book once it was published?
Great question. So, you know, in the marketing business, a lot of people ask me, you should, you know, do a big launch and make it an Amazon bestseller. And I didn't do that. For this book specifically, Sexy Boss, I actually was just really proud of myself that I did it, because again, it was my story. So I did the book, I got the book out, and I did an audio book. I have my book on Audible. Now, I will say this to everyone. I highly recommend getting your book on audio, because people do listen to things more so when they're running around town and working out. But I don't necessarily suggest that you are the author of it. I did do that myself, and it was one of the hardest things I ever did. It was really challenging. But I suggest that you hire that out, because they can get it done a lot faster and great. So I do suggest that. Once I did that, I just did a press release and I sent it to my email list. And I didn't really, Tom, do that big Amazon launch. I actually came out in November 2013. You and I are talking here in March 2016. And just 2 months ago, I found out it became Amazon bestseller. So I feel that I'm very proud of that, because it was like became a natural progression of a bestseller, not like a forced. You know, I don't think it has to be this forced thing. You have to make an Amazon bestseller or it's going to be a flop. It's about, you know, using the credibility and allowing that to come out in a conversation. So for me, when I promoted the book, Tom, I said, if one person buys it, is a success. And now I think a lot more people bought it than that, but I'm very proud of it. So I guess what I would say to people is, if you have a story that you want to get out, or even if you're an expert and you want to use and leverage authorship, it's great, but you don't have to make it an Amazon bestseller for you to be able to use it as an expert tool. You know, I don't think you have to have that pressure on yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with that. I mean, I think, you know, the great thing about the book business is that, like, you own the copyright for your work for at least 75 years. You know, after you're gone. So like the lifespan of a book is so incredibly long. And even after that, even after copyright expires, I mean, I still read books that were the copyrights expired from 100 years ago, from 1,000 years ago. You know, I know a lot of people in the personal development industry are all really into these like old books that like you can only get like at a used bookstore somewhere if you're really lucky to find it, you know? And so it's just really cool to think about, you know, the future lifespan of your book, that it's going to last a lot longer than just the first month that it's out. So yeah, like not having to stress out about a book launch.
I think authors do that because they're told to, you know, that they should write a book, use it as expertise, and they got to make a bestseller. And honestly, you know, I'm like yourself. One of my favorite books is the Game of Life and How to Play It, and it was written in the 30s by Florence Scovel Shinn. And you know, and you can get a Kindle for 99 cents. And I actually give it away as gifts all the time. People are like, oh, you gave me a 99-cent book. I'm like, that book honestly is better than Think and Grow Rich to me. I mean, it's phenomenal, you know, and I don't think, and you can tell when you're reading it, like there's obviously some idiosyncrasies, like things cost $2 or 5 cents and things like that. But the essence of the book and the story behind it is still real. So when people are thinking about their book today, think about who's going to be read it in 10 or 20 years or 30 years or 40 years or 60 years. You know, what's the story you want to get across? And I kept that in mind when I wrote this book. It's an evergreen book. You know, you can always tell some things are different because of the time frame and pricing. But at the end of the day, I'm confident that in 20 years, someone could read the book and understand the concepts and understand what I was trying to portray and the experiences and the final thoughts of what I was thinking. So I agree with you. I don't think you have to move the book up to #1 bestseller. I just don't think you have to do that to have a real successful book.
Gotcha. So, well, how else have you used the book to promote, you know, yourself and your own brand and business?
Well, it helps me get on your show, right? So
yeah, totally.
It totally did, right? You know, even though you're like, you didn't say, oh, well, it was done in 2013. And I don't like, you know, it's old. It's not like that with books. You know, I just don't think it's like that with books. I think it's evergreen, especially if you create a book that's evergreen. Keep that in mind. I think it's really important to do books evergreen unless you're going to create a book every year. Like there's the parachute book and some ones that do every single year. And that is part of their marketing plan. But how I use it to this day is, as of right now, I've been on 75 different podcasts since August of 2015. So I leverage it every day, all the time, to get me in front of podcasts. I was just on a speaking engagement with the National Women's Association. I leveraged the book then. It's a talking point. It's a talking point that helps people understand my view and what the message I want to get across. And then it's up to you as the author to get out there and create a different message, but leverage your book to get in the door.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, the book is so powerful. Even if you don't sell any copies on Amazon,
no,
getting booked.
I mean, there were years I didn't sell anything, but the beauty of Amazon is you can't see how many I've sold. You can't see. Now you can see nowadays. You can see the number at the bottom, like how the number of what it's out of. But honestly, that number is like a stock market. It changes every day, sometimes every hour. So there's sometimes I know people that quote unquote made an Amazon bestseller, and they were Amazon bestseller for like an hour, and I would rather see my book over time get more exposure and increase, and people purchase it because they choose to, not because I force them to, like get one for your dog and your sister and your mom. I'd rather it be organic,
Definitely. Well, I know Heather, you work with a lot of like really high-end clients and have helped them grow their businesses online. So I know some of them got books and seminars and blogs and video training courses and things like that. What are some of the hottest ways right now that you've seen that people can repurpose content, like say from a book or a blog or a video course or whatever, and turn that into some kind of other product or service to sell to people to grow their business?
Great question. So when my first book, Sexy Boss, the first thing I did was I have 12 chapters. So I created 12 blog posts. They were based on the chapter, right? Something simple like that. I'm now I had a podcast surrounding by the book. I have a whole brand that's surrounding by the book. You can then create, coaching services that's surrounding the book. You see that a lot with the personal development. And then another level of that is people that like the book might also like the seminar. There's a great book called Bringing in the One, or coaching. Bringing in the One. And they now have an entire company around just that one element, calling in the one. That's what it is. They have a coaching service, and they coaches service, and all kinds of things. So a book can be a start of a brand new business. Seed of the Soul, that's an old book as well. It has the same concept. Think and Grow Rich. It's a book that created seminars around the country at the time. I mean, a book is just the beginning of the conversation. The cool thing about a book is that you can repurpose it, because people love the book, right? But then like if I say, here's the book, but now we're going to have a 6-week coaching seminar, once a week over each chapter, where I'm going to tell you more about it and go more in depth of what I've learned since then, people will pay more for that. Or let's do a seminar for $1,000, and I'm going to be speaking about not only the book, but more experiences, expand on the book. People would pay more money for that. So you look at it as a tier perspective. Like the book is the beginning, let's say a $20, a group coaching is like, let's say $300, $200 range. And then you're repurposing again into a one-on-one seminar that could be in the thousands. So that's the beauty of starting with a book at a low price, because you also see if the market likes it. You might find out that this wasn't the hit, it's not a good fit. Maybe it's not the right message. Maybe you got to redo something, and then you can do another book and go from there.
Definitely.
Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, I love that idea of, like totally. I mean, if your book is the flop, but the messaging is wrong, it could be a great book, but maybe the messaging and packaging and promotion of it is wrong. Right. And when you figure that out, it's a lot easier then to go on to create the coaching and the seminars and so forth, rather than investing all that time at the beginning and find out your messaging was wrong. You have to change everything.
I've seen books that were okay, but didn't sell well, that someone came in and renamed it, put a brand new book cover on it, brand new colors, literally renamed the whole thing. It's the same book, and all of a sudden sales shot up. So, don't judge a book by its cover. Yes, but we judge books by their cover. That's what we do. We're clicking around on iTunes, and we judge podcasts by the image. We go to Amazon, we judge things by the image. That's what we do. Don't get mad. Just do it again, create it again. I actually had someone this last month who's a PR person suggest that I change my cover, and I'm thinking about it. I really am thinking about it. My God, why not? It's just kind of taking the same book and put a little uplift on it. Nothing's wrong with that. You can do it at your house. You can do it with your old couch, right? Why not do it with your book? And also things change over time, so you want to make sure that you upkeep on certain things. Think and Grow Rich has had many, many covers, over time. So yeah, nothing's wrong with changing your title at all.
Definitely. Well, you talked about, creating seminars from a book, right? And that, on top of it sounds like, oh, that's so easy. But then when you get into like the details, I think a lot of people are probably thinking, well, I could never do that. I could never start a seminar. How easy is it really to actually create a seminar and actually launch them and start doing that as a business?
So a physical seminar is challenging. It is challenging, but they're so much fun. And the reason why I love seminars and I kind of miss them is like when I started in the business in 2001, there was a period in my life I created and produced over 350 seminars. Wow, that's a lot. Okay, that's not how many days, that's how many events. And the average one's like 3 to 4 days, right? So times. I've spent a lot of hours in hotel rooms with seminars. And what I learned about events is that it's like we're looking at each other now, so I can see your reaction. If you don't like something, you might roll your eyes subconsciously or something. But when you're at an event and you're speaking to an audience of people, you get that reaction immediately. Like what you're saying is resonating. What they're saying might be bringing tears to their eyes. What they're saying is like they're rolling their eyes. I don't like it. They might be feeling resistance. So you can start to learn how people are responding to your message a lot faster. You can also get to know them and what their desires are and what they want. You can get to know your avatar a lot faster, quickly. And you can find out what their needs are. There are many times at events that we had it planned at the end of the 3 days, we were going to present a certain offer. And then by the end of those 3 days, we realized that that offer won't sell for this audience. It's just not a fit. We thought it would. It's not a fit. So the price point was wrong for this audience. Whatever, we could change in the moment of what we would offer. And I find that critical because nowadays we're behind our computers a lot and we go online and we go, I think my avatar is 30. I think she's, has a kid. I think she wants this. I think she wants that. You don't really know the experience. And so I think doing events with your book, even if you do it one time, never do it again. One, you can repurpose the videos and you can repurpose the information, but you can get a better sense of who your real market is, because the people that pay a ticket, get on a plane, get a hotel room, and then walk downstairs at 8 a.m. on a Friday, that's your market. That's a lot of work, versus get on a webinar. That's a lot of commitment to go across country or down a different state or get in the car, all that. There's a commitment to it. So you really realize who your real audience is when you do events. And that's the beauty of them. So I highly suggest them, but they can be expensive, way more expensive than a webinar, right? Or way more expensive than doing a Google Hangout. But you actually really get a true sense of who they are.
Definitely. Totally agree with that. And, you made a great point about even if you only do it one time, it's going to be worth it because you learn so much about your audience. And you don't have to do this big thing where, people come from all over the country. You can just do a local event, maybe get like a room at a local restaurant or a hotel or something at a discount. And, just invite some local people to come. Use Facebook ads, for $100 to get people to come. And maybe even do it for free and just get that experience of standing in front of the room and teaching people and teaching your message and your experience and see how it resonates with people.
You also see the questions people have that, you might think that your book or your product was complete, as we call it, right? It's like, you get it. It's your story. You get it. But all of a sudden, when you're in front of other people and they're like, I have a question. I don't understand this part. Or can you elaborate on this piece? You start to understand, oh, wow, I didn't think that was important. Why is that important? And they'll start to tell you. I agree with you. I did an event called Success Magnet Seminar in October 2013. It was soon after my book release. And what was fascinating about that event, it was me and Joe Sugarman and John Benson, John Carlton, Joe Polish, I'm missing somebody, I can't remember. Chris was there. So we were all the headliners of this amazing event, a Success Magnet Seminar. And what was so fascinating about this event, I find this really funny, is that people called me, it was in Vegas, and people called me after the event because we had kind of a low turnout. It was like only like 50, 60 people. People called me after the event and they said, I heard about your event, but I thought it was a hoax. Like, that's a lot of work for me to do to be a hoax. I go, why'd you think it was a hoax? They go, well, the headliners, Joe Sugarman, John Benson, John Carlton, Joe Polish, like they're never in the same room together. I'm like, well, they were once. It's over now. You missed it. You missed it. It's over. It's never going to happen again. And they were like, I had literally 10 people email me, go, I thought it was a hoax. I thought it was total BS. I didn't think it was real, because they just never see it. They're so used to people being in, webinars and away from each other that all came together. They just couldn't believe it. Now, the people that were in the room loved it. This was sliced bread, because it was such a small, intimate event. It was like a little mastermind. It was just so awesome. But those people, it never happened again. It's over. It's not going to happen again, and that's a one-time deal. And so they missed out. So it's really a good opportunity to, get to know your people and to see who actually is willing to show up, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, tell us about some of the work that you're doing today, with your clients. If someone's out there right now says, I want a coach to help me grow my business online, what kind of work do you do and how do you help people?
Thanks for asking that. So I run a few different companies online. Like every day I'm online running other companies. One's an e-commerce business. One's an information marketing business in the dating industry. One's a local weight loss company. So I already do that. What I do with my clients is I work with them on what is their message. Like, let's get clear on the message, because lots of times the message it's too broad. Like, what's your message for? Everyone's like, wrong answer. Yeah, can get clear on that message. Who's the avatar? And then how do you get it out there in the world at the fastest way possible with ROI? And one of the things I tell my clients, the first thing they have to do when they work with me is they're not allowed to buy any products, any information marketing products for like 3 months while they're working with me. And people laugh and they giggle. And I'm like, I know you do it, because what happens is we purchase things on how to do Facebook ads, how to do YouTube ads, how to do this, how to do that, how to do that. Because we think that's the next thing we're supposed to do. And the next thing you know, we have 15 logins of different things we should do. We don't know which one to do first. So I work with them on what's the thing to do first, second, third, on top of each other's stair steps, so you actually get where you want to go versus taking your ship in a circle. So that's what I work with them on. My average client right now has already a business between 1 to 2 million, and then we're taking it to another level. I don't have any new clients right now. Like, they've never done anything. They usually come to me, they have something, like they've created something, they have an idea of what they want, and then I take them to the next step, like being able to ROI it. Maybe they've made some, but had any money on it. That's one avenue I have taught. But most of the people I work with, they already have some kind of idea. They've already built $1 million business. Like, how do they double that? And I work with them on that, and their messaging and their marketing and taking it to another level. So that's what I do.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, before you go, tell us, any last words of advice for authors out there who really just want to make a bigger impact in the world and get their message out there.
Great question. So I would say this, and I'm going to look over here for a second, because I have my life lessons that someone gave to me when I was at the end of my bankruptcy and foreclosure and going through kind of a whirlwind back in 2006, 2007. And this is advice he gave me, and I'm just going to give it to you as my total gift. And the question he said to me, he said, put this question to everything before you do it. Does this feed my confusion or strengthen my clarity? And I'm going to repeat that. Does this feed my confusion or strengthen my clarity? Wow, it's such a profound statement that I completely give to you, because I honestly feel at that point in my life, I was swirling a lot. I didn't know. I didn't know what to do next. I just felt like there's all these people coming at me, what I should do. And there was a lot going on, but I wasn't getting anywhere. Like, I was just kind of spinning in a circle. I don't know if you experienced that, but I did. And when I started to put that question, just the littlest things in my life, things became clearer and clearer and clearer, like what to do next. Okay, what to do next? Like when I did my book, that was just what was to do next. And then I did it, got it. Okay, completed it. What's to do next? I did a seminar. Okay, that's complete. What's next? It became clear, but I actually asked the question, does this feed my confusion or strengthen my clarity? And what I realized is that when people offered me to do things, it might have been in their best interest for me to do it, but it wasn't in my best interest. It caused confusion versus clarity. So that's the advice I give to you. Even if a newbie or not a newbie, or someone who's got a big business or a small business, is that, what are the things you're doing that's causing clarity or causing confusion in your life. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So Heather, tell us where people can connect with you online and find out more about the work you're doing.
Sure. If you're interested in working with me or having a conversation with me, you can go to heatherhavenwood.com and you can click with Work with Heather. It's in the upper right-hand side. And feel free to fill out that information and get on the phone with me. I do free consultations. Love to have a chat with you to see if we're a fit. Or if not, you can go to my woman's website, sexybossinc.com, or you can go to LinkedIn and feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us today, Heather. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.